Okay, so again, Wednesday and Thursday, we will be taking a quest, kind of a mixture between a quiz and a test. And it'll cover the simplifying radicals, it'll cover the complex numbers, taking square roots of negative numbers to get imaginary numbers. It'll have adding complex numbers, subtracting complex numbers, graphing complex numbers, and multiplying complex numbers. Those will all be on that quest. Okay, kind of a heavy-duty quiz or a light test. Now, this is the last skill that you need to know for this semester. This is the multiplying complex numbers. And we've got two different situations here that we're looking at. The first one is whenever I multiply an imaginary number times a complex. And you notice that they said, remember, I squared equals negative 1. Okay, now I want you to think back to when you were over at Ramsey or at Chaffin, and they talked about the distributive property. I'm doing the same thing here, guys. I'm using the distributive property to multiply. So, and Taylor, make sure that you're on this page, okay? Open this up in your packet and take notes on this. I want you to make sure that you're getting this, okay? So on the multiplying, I've got 3i times 2 minus I, okay? So I'm going to distribute that 3i times 2 to get 6i. I'm going to multiply 3i times negative I to get negative 3i squared. Okay? Then I start looking at it and I said, well, I squared is equal to negative 1. So I'm going to replace the I squared with negative 1. That gives me 6i minus 3 times negative 1. Now, negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. So we've got 3. And negative times negative is a positive. So positive 3 plus 6i. And here's the thing. We always write in the form a plus bi because a is our real, bi is our imaginary. We want to write it like an ordered pair just in case we decide to graph it. Okay? So on 1 through 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute the 5i. Okay, on 1 I've got 5i times 4 and 5i times 3i. 5i times 4 is 20i. And 5i times 3i is 15i squared. Now, we know that I squared is negative 1. So 15 times negative 1. Okay? That gives us 20i minus 15. And then that finally ends up as negative 15 plus 20i. Okay, we're done. So number 2, negative 2i times 3, that gives me negative 6i. And 2i times negative 4 is positive 8i squared. Okay, well, that gives me negative 6i plus 8 times negative 1, or negative 6i minus 8. And then I want to put the real part in front. So again, I'm going to put negative 8 minus 6i for my final answer. Okay, so number 3, I'm going to multiply I times 2I and I times negative 6. Okay, I times 2I is 2I squared. I times negative 6 is negative 6I. Okay, well then 2I squared, that'll be 2 times negative 1 minus 6I. 2 times negative 1 would be negative 2. So I've got negative 2 minus 6I. And since that already has the real part in the front, I'm good to go. I'm done with that one. Okay? Now, on 4 through 6, you notice I've got a binomial times a binomial. And so it's much like our second example up here. I've got 4 plus 2I times 5 minus I. And to multiply, first of all, we distribute the 4. 4 times 5 is 20. And 4 times negative I is negative 4I. Then we distribute the 2I. So 2I times 5 is 10I. 2I times negative I would be negative 2I squared. So that gives me 20 plus 6I and negative 2 times negative 1 for the I squared. So 20, negative 4I plus 10I is 6I. And with the I squared being negative 1, negative 2 times negative 1 becomes positive 2. 2 plus 20 is 22 plus 6I. All right, so let's look at 4. Okay, we're going to multiply 6 times 3. That's 18, right? And if we were doing FOIL, I could follow FOIL and check those off too. So that was my first times my first. Okay? Outside 6 times negative 4I, which is negative 24I. So outside times outside. Okay, now inside times inside. So negative 5I times 3 is negative 15I. And then last, negative 5I times negative 4I is positive 20I squared. So let's simplify where we can. We've got 18, negative 24 minus 15. What would that be? Negative 39i plus 20 times negative 1. And then 18 minus 39i minus 20, which will be 18 minus 20, or negative 2, minus 39i. Okay, number 5. First, outside, inside, last. Okay, so first 2 times 3i. That's equal to 6i. And outside, 2 times 2 is 4. Inside, negative I times 3i. So negative 3i squared. And then last, negative I times 2 is negative 2i. Okay, so let's simplify. I've got the whole number 4. I've got 6i minus 2i, which would be 4i, minus 3, and I squared would be negative 1, or 4 plus 4i plus 3, and 4 plus 3 is 7. So 7 plus 4i. Okay, now I'm going to skip on down to 7 and 8. And I want to point something out to you guys because there is a fatal mistake that a lot of people often make. Stephen, make sure you're getting this, bud, okay? On 7 and 8, those are both squared problems. And what students tend to do, I've seen it over and over and over and over and over again, they'll look at something like that and they'll say, oh, well, that's easy. 3 squared is 9 and 5i squared is 25i squared, and they'll move on. Remember, anytime you see something squared like this that's a binomial, go ahead and write it out so that you will remember that you need to distribute using that FOIL method. When you see this, then you're like, oh yeah, I've got to distribute across. So just like up above, 3 times 3 is going to be 9. And then 3 times 5i is 15i. Okay? Now for the 5i. 5i times 3 is 15i. And 5i times 5i is 25i squared, which we know will become 25 times -1. And then 25 times -1 is -25. 9 minus 25 is -16. So -16 plus 30i. So let's practice that one more time. We've got 4 minus 7i. And 4 minus 7i. Okay, so 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times -7i is -28i. -7i times 4 is -28i. And then -7i times -7i is positive 49i squared. So that's 16 minus 56i. And then 49 times -1. Okay, that's 16 minus 56i minus 49. And 16 minus 49, oh gosh, how much would that be? Negative, okay, 6 from 9 is 3, and 1 from 4 is 3, so -33 minus 56i. Okay, so again, just combining my like terms. Okay, so that's how you multiply complex numbers. Just like what we did when we were doing our quadratics and multiplying a binomial times a binomial to get a quadratic. Now, here's what I'm going to do on the assignment. I want you to do the multiplying complex numbers on the next page. Okay? The complex, or the operations with complex numbers, that's the same thing as adding and the subtracting and multiplying mixed together. But here's the thing, guys. You've already done the adding complex numbers. You did that last week. You're doing multiplying today. I'm going to cancel out this assignment. Don't worry about doing this one. Okay? Huh?
I told them to put an X on it. So
Yeah, put an X, cross it out. You don't have to do the operations with complex numbers. But the complex numbers review, I would like you to do this because I'll let you use it on the quiz. Okay? So do this one, the complex numbers review, and it stops with 48. Okay? So do all of the complex numbers review. I'll count it as 20 homework points. So I'll make it worth your while. And do the multiplying complex numbers on this page. And have those done before you come to class on Thursday. Okay?